Let me see where my patrons is at. Let me see where we at. What up? What up? We are back with an exclusive. Look at me. An exclusive live stream for Patreon, a dissection of Netflix's new film, The Woman in the Window. Um, All-star cast, by the way. This cast was incredible. Amy Adams, Gary Oldman, Brian Tyree Henry, Anthony Mackie, Julian Moore. Like, my God. My God. Fun fact, I first became a fan of Gary Oldman during the movie Book of Eli. And Book of Eli is still one of my favorite films. It's action, it's like badass religion. And you know what I like about that? I liked that it was one of the films that didn't make religion this hyper sci-fi horror, like a Constantine or like a what's the movie I'm looking for? Dante's Inferno. Like it made religion this battle of the gods. I don't know. It was larger than life. Book of Eli was just a Christian and his Bible who wanted to get the work done, and he beat your ass if you got in his way. And I liked how like grounded that was. So Gary Oldman, Mila Kunis, and Denzel Washington were in the Book of Eli, and outstanding, outstanding. Zombies are my favorite genre, so it wasn't zombies, but it was in like this type of dead world style, apocalyptic, cool fucking movie. So got to see Gary Oldman again, who Oldman's all over this, and with another stellar cast, and to see this rate of see this quality of talent come and join a release to Netflix movie. It's kind of weird. Where are we in Hollywood that this is kind of going down? Callie, where you at? But I'm glad we're here. I enjoyed the level of talent that presented itself. So here we are. Should we start off? I want to say hello, being that this is a VIP dissection. I have an incredible patron here, Elle, who is always holding the chat down. Elle, do you want to say hi and give any initial feelings, thoughts about this film? Also, yeah, if you don't speak, they can't see you because our video switches back and forth.
Hi. I didn't really have any initial thoughts. I was glad that there wasn't a lot of gore. This is my kind of horror. That there wasn't too much gore. Yeah.
Fire, fire. I want to say what's up to Khaled, CJ, A Barty is in here. What's up to y'all? Welcome, welcome. We got a lot to discuss today. I think visually, what the director did, shout out to a Mr. Joe Wright. What the director did was incredible. Um, and it's so funny because a pilot that I'm working on feels the way this felt. So I was like, we see each other. Like, I see you, Mr. Joe Wright. God damn. What he did visually was stunning. There were some parts I was having issues with, and we're going to discuss that today. So, all right, as long as you out here, Khaled, The Woman in the Window, Netflix film. An agoraphobic woman living alone in New York begins spying on her new neighbors only to witness a disturbing act of violence. Stellar cast, stellar director. So let's see what's going on in this movie. We're going to start with Act One, and Act One is very simple. Act One is very simple. Oh my gosh, y'all, I have to fix this thing. We have to meet the entire world. How does it work? What are the rules? What's the setting? Who are all of the characters? What do they want? How do they relate to each other? How do they feel about things? What is their point of view? All of that. We have to meet all of the characters and then get to a huge conflict that shakes this all up. Let's meet everybody in their normal, okay? So we have a series of opening visuals. And what we see here is an empty dining room shrouded in the color yellow. We see an empty office peeling off of a streaming movie that this character is watching, both in blue. This movie she's watching of a man being choked, struggling violently. Finally left off with an old bedroom in a plethora of photos of some beautiful black baby. Okay, colored in red. And these three colors will be our color theme as we move forward throughout this entire film. And we're going to go ahead and see what these colors mean. And as we take a look around the home, we're seeing pieces of a woman, but more than not, everything is empty. There's void. There's no one here, even though we're seeing evidence of it being inhabited and evidence of people having had been there. So let's discover these voids. Let's discover this emptiness. Let's discover this darkness. We're going to move on and meet Miss Anna Fox, the protagonist of this entire film. Callie said, I got very Vertigo vibes from this. This house was huge. It's giving wealth. It's giving generational white plantation slave money wealth. L. That kind of wealth. I was like, where are you? Inner city, 3-story home with the basement. She owns all the floors from the rooter to the tutor. Oh, that's that blue blood money. Shit. Miss Anna Fox. We meet her in 2 color themes off the bat. Yellow, as she watches a family across the street move in, same color that colored her dining room. And we meet her in blue when she's in that office space with the therapist. So here's what I'm picking up, and let me know what you're picking up from what I'm putting down. If we're looking at yellow as she's watching a family move in, and the same color colored her dining room, I believe this is the color of family. It's the color of the collective family. But when she has to speak about her issues and her problems and where she is currently with this therapist, as she's alone, we see her in blue. So the family, yellow, her alone in blue. So I want to jump into the chat, and maybe Elle, if you feel so entitled. We also see her therapist in this blue office, but wearing a yellow shirt. Do we know what's up with the therapist? Does anybody have a gander at what could be going on with Mr. Therapist? Callie was like, I was like, how many floors he got in her home? Go ahead, Elle.
I was thinking yellow was like salvation. Like that's where you need to go to get free. And then he had the yellow, like he's gonna help you to that place.
That theme does come around definitely back towards the end, because it's one of the final colors we do see as the movie comes to a conclusion and she solves her big conflict. Callis says her nosiness was given the white lady from them. Get away from that window and mind your business. I only watched 2 episodes of that series. I hope the white lady got what was coming to her. I have no idea how that all ended over there. But yes, very nosy, which in this scene, the therapist was saying, you're piquing curiosity. Very nice language, because he ain't call her nosy. Very kind. Your curiosity is an implication of severing depression. Her depression was getting worse. This therapist in this yellow shirt standing, working with her in this blue room. Well, this is because the therapist was actually there when she, I believe, now that I'm thinking about it, wait a second. This actually might not be true anymore. But here's what I originally thought. I thought that the therapist was with her while her family existed with her in this house. And he also is with her as she's in this newfound reality, this single alone woman. I thought he was there for both areas, both phases of her life. But the voiceovers with hearing her family as she's discussing her problems with her husband, those were hallucinations, were they not? Was he a former colleague? Because you hear voiceovers of her speaking with her husband, trying to work out her problems in her mind. But she was never speaking with her family because that was an hallucination, wasn't it? Dun dun dun. But that's what I assumed. The yellow represents the before phase when she had her family. As she's looking at this family now, the blue represents where she currently is, the after, the alone. So if he's wearing yellow, I thought he was there for both phases of her life. Like he's seen her through both. What's up, young royalty? Welcome to the room. But we learn that she is agoraphobic. She fears the outside and she also suffers with anxiety and depression. She shouldn't be drinking on this medication that's supposed to subside this trouble that she's having, but she lies, she does it, and she does it excessively. All right. Now we found that third color again. It reappears and we find the wound. Something happened to split the before and the after, bringing her to this wounded moment now. And she has this red bedroom that she sleeps in every night. And what happens in this bedroom, we have two rooms, one to the left, one to the right. And just like that snowy fall that we opened up with, that very first shot, where we're having a war of the contrast. We're having a war between the dark and the light. So even though we have this color theory between blue, yellow, red, there's something that has to happen between the dark and the light that'll bring these characters through their journey, specifically Miss Anna Fox. So in her home, she has this sunroof blasting the daylight through this really dark, heavy home, right? So if we're having a conversation between the dark and the light, we want to know what that war entails. Would it be what someone is performing, what we are to know on the surface, what we think is reality and true, the light, versus what's to be uncovered, diving into the void and the depression, the secrets of the dark. And all of these are going to be in conversation as we move forward in this film, right? And these two rooms in these bedrooms, this dark and this light, mirrors the dark and light of her home, mirrors what that spotlight is doing into her home as we spiral all the way down from the roof to the basement. And I can imagine that this is metaphorical for her depression, right? You're starting at the bottom and you've got to climb your way all the way out of the darkness until you can free yourself, finding what else said, that's salvation. Salvation is such a good fucking word, isn't it? Feels good in the mouth, feels good in the spirit, it feels good everywhere, it feels good all over. It sure do. I want to say hello to another doll who's joining. Hello, Christine. Welcome to the room. You want to say hi and give some initial thoughts on the film?
Yeah. Hi. Hi everybody. Sorry I was running late coming in, but looks like we're still kind of towards in the beginning.
Yeah, we just getting started. What's up, Gear?
Yeah, not much, not much. Just finished up the school year. Another school year done. It
Congrats.
was crazy during the whole Panera bread. So yeah.
Well, welcome. We're diving right in. We're talking about the opening. We just wrapped up the color theory for what we're going to be looking at in this film. The blue, which is her being alone and independent right here, right now, and the before, the family woman, the woman who had people with her, and getting to know a new family who moved in right across the street. So let's meet the Russells. If we're using the color theory from what this film seems to be setting up, what do we feel we know about the Russells? We see a man in a blue room, we see a yellow home, we see some dark and some light. What information are you guys pulling from meeting the Russells?
feeling like when I first initially, because I just watched the movie like last night, but when we first were introduced kind of from afar, just like from the, protagonist point of view, with the family, I kind of feel like there's some mystery there. Like we don't know much about them. We're trying to be kind of cautious, like about these people, curious, but we're on the same end, like, people kind of mystery. What's going on with them? That's just what I was thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Real uncomfortable. Like, this lady is all in these people's house. Like, they didn't even move in good. It made me want to close my blinds. Like, who is watching me? No.
Look, I was like, should we even be rooting for her? Why are you in everybody's business, ma'am? But I'm not gonna lie, I am very much this lady in the window. I can see all of my neighbors and I be looking. I just really be looking. And I feel like I kind of connected with one of them. He doesn't know me, but I know him. And I'm kind of upset that he hasn't lit his bedroom the same colors that he usually do. He kind of going bland with it these days, but that's neither here nor there. Let's just move on, because this is not about me. This is about Miss Anna Fox. So here's what I'm pulling from the visual of the Russells on the first introduction. Now, Christine, you was on to something, because I'm just realizing as I'm revisiting this visual that we can't see his face or his head, and that's very much hiding an identity. That was clue number one, that we only see the body. So great eye, right? That feels very mysterious, as Elle said. Great eye. I couldn't help but notice the address, 101. 101. They also live on 121st Street, which is also another mirror number. But this family in particular lives in a mirror number address, which would mean, and also not being able to see his face, things as they appear are not what they seem to be. There's another identity to be discovered, right? The building is literally covered yellow. This is representing the family as a collective. But if blue means aloneness, as we've met Anna Fox, we're meeting Mr. Russell by himself in a blue room. There's something very independent, solitary about this man, even though he's moving in as a family, right? There seems to be this independent agenda. My first critique of the film, I didn't like Act One. Here's why. I don't like when everything happens in dialogue, right? We know this family because Anna's nosy. And so because she's nosy, she tells the therapist all this information about this family before we meet them. And it just spends a lot of time explaining the entire story rather than getting the characters to do something. And this is something that I often say when I do script coverage and I read you guys' scripts or scripts that anybody else sends me. You can't shove the entire story in the dialogue. Even if she's agoraphobic, she has 3 floors to do stuff. Make her do stuff. But she's sitting in a chair or sitting at the window doing nothing and explaining everything. That kind of thing bores me real quick. I'm just going to say that, okay? It kind of bores me real quick. So let's meet Ethan, the son of the Russell family, who meets Anna and gives her a gift on behalf of his mother. So just looking at how we can feel real weird about Ethan, right? We meet him on a blue monitor. Does he have an independent agenda? He's either working under his dad's agenda, who we met in a blue room, or he's working under his own. We don't know. He approaches in a green jacket. Green is the marriage between the blue and the yellow. Is he coming in under the guise of family, yellow, with his own independent agenda, blue? That would give you someone who's dressed in green. His gift that he gives Anna, lavender. He gives her purple. That is the marriage of red and blue, right? Is his independent agenda a danger to her? Is he presenting her with a wound that's disguised as a gift? We didn't know. Look at him on the stairs. He has all these stripes, these grids, these lines, right? It's something imprisoning. It's something entrapping. It's something guarded. We don't quite know what's up with the Russells. I'm just kind of obsessed with what the fuck was going on in this movie. Like, Beautiful, beautiful, stunning visuals. We're going to meet another member of the Russell family, this kind stranger who approaches. This kind stranger, right? She's sort of lit from above when Anna comes to, sort of like this spotlight that we've been talking about, right? That war between the dark and the light, what's to be discovered, what's being performed on the surface level. So we have this spotlight raining down on this beautiful, kind stranger. And she's got this yellow hair and this yellowish, brownish jacket, right? And Anna comes to assume that this is the wife and the mother of the Russell family. We meet Jane Russell. So when Anna asks her, "You must be Jane Russell," the first thing that the stranger does is walk into the darkness. Oh, what makes you say that? Zoop. Don't be hiding in my house. That's number one. I don't know where you think you're going. You cannot be hiding behind the big ass walls in my house. I need to see you front and center. First of all, I was asleep. What was you doing? That's number one. But when we discover her and we don't know her, we wake up and she's super close to Anna, right? This is a super close up. We see her beautiful face kindly waking us up out of wherever we went. But when we say, "Hey, I think I know you. Your name is," super wide. She feels like a stranger. And then she disappears into the darkness. All these secrets to be uncovered that we'll get to know. We see these colors even matching who we think is Jane Russell, right? This red and this yellow, because like Anna, this Jane somewhere has a wound within her family, right? And what she does as she begins to leave is draw herself on a notepad of herself and her son. The father and the husband is missing. The notepad in this drawing is black and white, just like the contrast that we're playing with in this home, right? This is a clue to the secrets and the performative actions happening all around. I got more complaints at this point. All right. With the photo, the drawing, with the earring, with the double entendre dialogue, this feels a little easy. Like you can see all the little clues, and maybe because I spent a lot of time with movies, we done Get Out already. Like, you know what I mean? They're planting all these very specific clues, so when they come back at the end, you're like, whoa, yeah, remember? Like, and I really fucking hate that. No, I just felt like they were too easy. And at this point, we are 20 minutes into the film in Act One. And at this point, between the 25-minute mark, you really want to hit your inciting incident, because at a certain point, your audience is going to say, "Why are we here? What are we doing? What problem do we have to solve?" And we spend so much time doing the dialogue and the expository information and this whole scene of them chuckling and wine and playing games. We should have had some crap by now. We met everybody. What are we doing here, right? What conflict pushes us to solve a problem and challenge our lead character in Act Two? Didn't happen here. It didn't happen here. CJ, you was surprised at her letting strangers in her house? She's white. That's what they do. I don't suffer from agoraphobia, and I still wouldn't have just let them in. She was carried in because she was passed out. And she's white. That's just my pick a litter. I have my likes and my dislikes for the movies that I watch. Okay. We finally meet Mr. Russell. Same as we met Ethan, we meet him on that blue monitor first, right? What's his independent agenda? But when he finally steps in, he steps into this yellow light representing that family man, the husband, the father, right? But he had that white spotlight behind him. Is this a performance, this family man? What does he really want, right? Is that a performance? And of course, he's even dressed in black and white, even up to the white hair, right? Just like the notebook that Jane character left. He's in that black and white. There's a war here between the performance and the secrets. What are we going to uncover? So he looking too much like, he just looking too much like, you know, like that opening shot that tells us about the war that we're going to be having here, right? And even the texture of the door behind him looks like this traumatic event in Anna's life. Trauma coming. I just like to really just take moments to, because oh my fucking God, they did what they had to do with these shots, bitch. Like outstanding. And you know what? Have y'all ever seen Giants on the Issa Rae Presents channel with James Bland? No? It's a Black web series. James Bland, he's fine as hell. He's tall. He's a screenwriter. He's in LA. He has an Emmy for this web series that debuted on Issa Rae Presents, the YouTube channel. And he did this shot in Giants, I believe Giants season 2. It was one of the final episodes where it looks like you're looking at him. He's having this super wounded, emotionally raw moment. And he steps forward and it's like all these mirrors, and then his real self appears in the camera, and you were like, what the fuck did you just do to me? So this little shot right here, this shit is cute. I like it. I like this shit, right? We seeing her in the mirror. Is she lying to us? Is she lying to herself? She's being haunted by this shadow, this depth of her, this secret of hers is coming up to meet her at the surface, right? Coming up that spiral. I like this shit. And then now we finally, after all that time, finally have our inciting incident. 35 whopping minutes into the movie, Jane gets stabbed. Now, this would have been kind of cool if this was like a 2.5 hour movie, because some of these filmmakers be doing that, give you a 2 hour movie. But even when you watch 2 hour movies, they still give you your inciting incident at 20-25 minutes. So the fact that this movie ain't even long, it's standard hour and a half, and your inciting incident don't come until the 35th minute, you're off. You're just a little off for me. Okay? For me, I like to get to the good. What are we here for? So we finally have it, 35 minutes in. We didn't see who attacked Jane, but we have this shot of Anna as she's watching. And if you guys look at the bottom right, this is Anna behind blue curtains, yellow lamps being kind of hidden behind her window. I would like to hear your thoughts on dissecting Anna. What do we think? Not she would have cursed out Russell, child. What do we think?
I think she was using like her professional knowledge to circumvent the healing process a lot. So like if you know about psychology, you are a psychologist, you know exactly what they ask, the questions that they ask, and the type of questions that you have, the type of responses you have to give in order to not be institutionalized. So I feel like she was using that to her advantage, just like she lied about not drinking, but she was throwing them back. So
Mm-hmm. What else? What do we pull from this specific visual that tells us where Anna is as a character?
Split reality.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying the split in reality and her realities. Like she's losing sight of what's really real.
Yeah, I agree with Elle too, because like from that previous shot, the mirror shot, I noticed that her husband and her little girl their pictures were like in the corner of the mirror. So as you were saying, like she's still hiding or lying to herself about and not wanting to face reality, kind of, a lot way all the way in denial because they're dead. and it was ultimately her fault, the guilt, from the car wreck, but we didn't know that yet it was going to be revealed, because I knew, so I had a feeling something was funny about how she kept saying that her husband and daughter, they're separated from her, but I'm like, well, why they don't live with you? I like, they must be dead, they must be. So she don't want to deal with that. That's like WandaVision. That's like Wanda all over again, WandaVision. I don't want to deal.
White lady syndrome ASAP, all up and down the white lady syndrome. I'm gonna make my problem everybody's problem.
Yep, I'm gonna lie to myself, make up all my own reality, and fuck everything else, because I got a deal.
Her poor, we're not going to talk about him here, but her poor basement tenant went through it with her. The way I would have moved out, I'm like, ma'am, I don't know what's going on upstairs. You're bothering me, okay? Annoying the hell out of it. Here's what I've pulled from the visuals. I would love to hear anybody else's take in the chat. CJ says they don't want to admit that they can't or shouldn't treat themselves. And if they do, because of their knowledge, it's more difficult to get through to them. The one person who's hardest to heal because they hard-headed is a sick doctor. You can't do it at all. They don't listen, okay? But they are the most intriguing people to explore and get to know. But here's what I've pulled from this very small particular visual. Because most of what we've seen so far is Anna either in darkness or surrounded by yellow, right? She used to be surrounded and almost haunted by yellow, this feeling and this memory of her family. And because she has seen this horrific accident happen to the Russells and knows that a teenager is in there, this incident pushes her to the independent blue. If she's holding on to the memory of her family, and that has kept her emotionally trapped, which then breeds her physically being trapped, this incident pushes her to true independence and not just faking the funk, right? She's found motivation from her past to discover a new identity in being alone. So we have Act 2 finally pushing into solving the problem. Act 2, Part 1, how do we directly address the conflict given to us by the inciting incident? Your protagonist wants to solve that conflict that shakes their whole world. She can't just ignore this, right? She has to solve this problem, and they'll go on a new journey, but using their old identity and original skill set. So she's literally traveling, breaking out of Act 1, pushing the boundaries, going into the second act, but she's still covered in yellow. She's still that same old lady trying to get to a new place. And usually in your feature film, this Act 2, Part 1, this usually should go pretty smoothly, all is well. Everything's working in your favor until something challenges them again to change. You have to use your new skills. So we see Anna go outside, but her new skill fails. Some things happen, and then we come to the midpoint. And I'm going to explain why I skipped this chunk of the movie right now. What is the midpoint? Your second act is usually broken up into two parts, right? Your first act, you're going to a new place with your old skill. Something comes in and beats your ass. You have to change who you are so you can defeat that original conflict, right? So what's the incident that challenges the character to change? We meet the actual Jane Russell, played by very incredible actor Jennifer Jason Leigh. And this part here is directly, and every movie you watch, this happens perfectly in the middle of your film. And this happens in this one, 53 minutes in. Anna challenges Ethan to tell the truth about your father, Mr. Russell. I know he's hurting you. I know he's abusive. Why are you covering for him? Do the thing. What is your problem? And then boom, Mr. Russell busts in, slaps Ethan in the face, sends him out of there, and then threatens Anna. And she can't rely on her friends. Little pipsqueak living in her basement. I don't know. She can't rely on her friends. She can't rely on the police. She can't rely on herself to solve this murder. But to me, personally, this feels a bit off, y'all. And here's why. We spent so much time in the first act setting up all these goddamn details and listening to all this goddamn dialogue that you gave us 10 extra minutes of act one, that there's not so much more of a place to go after that, right? If y'all notice, I don't know if you want to revisit it, after the inciting incident, we watched about 20 minutes of her Googling information about the Russells. We watched this lady be on a computer for 20 minutes, and you have to ask yourself, how much more information did we get? And so here's the thing about Act 2, because Act 1 sets up your world as is. Act 2 better be so goddamn exciting that it gives us a brand new world. And us watching lovely Amy Adams type on a computer for 20 minutes and scream into her phone, that's not exciting enough to me, right? How much new information did we get? So I'm going to jump into the chat. I'm going to jump into my VIPs and kind of just talk through it and get your takes on it, right? Let's think about it from what we've seen. What about this occurrence, her meeting Mr. Russell, her asking Ethan to tell the truth? What about this occurrence forces Anna to change? And why does she need to solve this murder? CJ got the magnifying glass out. We want to see. Had the wrong eye open.
I agree with you, Latasha. It took a little bit too long for us to get to this point. I mean, we already had our turning point for her to change is when, you know, she witnessed, well, the woman she thought was the wife, Jennifer Russell, whatever, when she saw her getting stabbed. And then it was just like, you're right, it was just like too much, kind of overkill. Like with the, I got to research this person, I got to research this person and reveal this fallacy about this person, reveal this fallacy. We already know he was shady. I mean, the whole family is. So I'm like, let's get to the point and start doing something about it besides just more and more research Sherlock Holmes. I'm like, come on. So yeah, you're right. It started in like in the beginning, started taking me out because I was feeling the same way. I was like, okay, we get it. Can we have something happen here? You know, with all the dialogue and setup and stuff. I'm like, okay, come on. You know, so and then when we finally try to get there, I'm like, I'm over it.
Yes, it felt very Caucasian at this point, and I was just over her mannerisms and her calling these people's job, and it didn't seem very realistic to me. The way that she was researching, maybe if she would have looked on like their social media or something like that, but it just seemed a little too evasive to me. And yeah, I got tired of her obsessiveness. I was like, I don't understand. I don't get it how this became the thing that you obsessed over, like versus all of the other people on the block. Like, why this particular family? So maybe they could have used that time to say, oh, she's done this before, instead of like honing in on her researching them. Stuff about that.
I like a word you use. I'm gonna bring that back up. Khaled says guilt from her family's death and a need to protect Ethan as a child psychologist. Anna kind of trashed at her job since she didn't see how off Ethan was, but I digress. She did notice how off Ethan was, because since he was so weird and recluse and weird, she was like, I know your daddy's bothering you. But she didn't know, she misattributed, that's it, why he was weird. She was like, oh, he's getting abused is why he's weird. Not, oh, he coming to wreck everybody and they moms. Like she made that little trip up. CJ says she needed to preoccupy herself with something or someone she believed could be helped, unlike herself. That is an incredible point. She's so much in avoidance with her own mess that she's totally diving into them. And as Khaled was saying, it's this emotional motivation for what she couldn't give her family that she's giving to this family. Elle said, did you say evasive? The word evasive, it was a word in there you said I liked.
Yeah, she said evasive.
Let's talk about this, because what about this occurrence forces Anna to change? Why does she need to solve this? And my thing is that I don't feel she does. Elle said the word realistic, because realistically, she could quit right here, right? And to be honest with you, she should. She's ill-equipped to handle a murder. She could and should quit right here. And it sort of feels like we're only continuing because the plot says we have to be here for an hour and a half, right? So in any feature film, the stakes should realistically be life or death. And that doesn't quite occur here because she could stay in her bubble. If Mr. Russell bursts in and directly says on Friday at 5 p.m., I'm going to kill you, that's a concrete thing she has to solve. A murderer, to her knowledge, bursts in her house, smacks his kid and says, leave us alone, and goes. Well, baby, the show is over. Roll credits. He said to leave him alone and he got it. What daddy wants, daddy gets. I would leave him the hell alone. She don't have to do this. She's not minding the business that pays her. And the problem with all of that is this conflict set up in this feature film essentially has nothing to do with your protagonist. That's not a good place to be. Your conflict should directly shake up the life of your protagonist, that they have to change this thing. She's simply not minding her business. Let's move on, okay? Act 2, Part 2. Solving a bigger problem, because what the midpoint does is heat up the water in the pot. See, in the beginning, we turned the fire on, but now it's boiling, right? Now we really gotta get things shaking. We have to solve a bigger problem. Act 2, Part 2. The midpoint should have introduced a heavier conflict that this unlikely hero has to solve, because the inciting incident was just the tip of the iceberg. And at this point, Anna doesn't quite yet have new skills or a larger problem. So we're still kind of watching her sort through in the same way that she does with the same problem. So I think CJ said it feels a little flat. Somebody says it feels a little flat in here, right? But right here, what we do see her do is compare the before Jane to the after Jane, right? And we see the yellow, right? The yellow and the red on the right side of the screen. Anna knows that there's a wound in the family of the Russells. And because of that, her personal wound motivates her to save Ethan. Whoever this new woman is, I don't like it. And because of my family, I'm gonna have to address your family. Versus the blue, her actions to solve this carries her to her independence and her new identity. So she's choosing to be here, but this, who she used to be, is going to carry her into who she has to be. And none of this is actually her problem until it the fuck is. Uh-oh, somebody's in your house. See, now we've directly included our hero. So someone breaks into her home, utilizing her same flaws against her. You're spying, I'm gonna use a camera, I'm gonna invade your privacy. They wound her pet, the only extension of a family she has left. And if you guys notice in that mirror image, in the image on the computer, there's a mirror number 202, because not only is this family playing double identities, so is Miss Anna Fox, all right? So what I think happens here in this movie, I think the real midpoint happens 58 minutes into your feature film. Now, you only got 90 minutes. So if the middle of your film happens at the 60-minute mark, you really have to restructure. Something's off. Everything's just delayed. It's cool, but everything's just delayed. And it feels weird. And you leave it up to Hollywood professionals, they will tell you, you ain't got to follow structure like that no more. Okay, but now you got your audience feeling flat. So you take it or leave it, whatever you got to do. And here at this midpoint, everyone she knows absolutely does not believe her. And she's directly and physically and confirmedly in danger. That creates a huge shift in her perception, her truth, and the world as she knows it. And that's exactly what a midpoint is supposed to do. Shake up everything you know, the old world, and make you switch so hard, you have to create a new world for yourself. But we cannot get there until we address the darkness. Oh my God. Chilling. Because her surface level reality is challenged, whatever was happening in the light, she must dive into the void, dive into the darkness, dive into the depression, dive into that wound. Because what she's been avoiding the entire time, this is how the entire outside wounds her, giving her this mental disorder, right? We learned Anna Fox is a false name. It comes from the very last conversation she's had with her family, watching her husband explain to their daughter that a vixen is a girl fox. So we have Anna Fox. We have her phone representing the darkness of this wound. Even when the show originally opens up, when she's reaching for her phone, it's in this red scene. This light is like a performance, and how she and her husband were playing the role of a happy married couple for the benefit of their daughter, but who really was it benefiting? And again, we have this dance between the light and the dark when we saw that falling snowfall bringing us, whew. Yeah, I remember that Halloween when she saw them ghosts, the children ghosts haunting her. Woo! Ooh, bringing us right here to this wound of a dead child. She's agoraphobic because the ghost of her child and her family terrorizes her. So, I mean, if you're going to do all that, okay, Elle. If you're going to do all that, you finally have to face the truth and the flaws, and Anna takes accountability. You can see here visually how she's sitting out of the spotlight. She's not pretending. She's not doing that surface level reality. She's sitting in the dark. Like, look, this is what it is. No more pretending, right? Until something confirms what everyone told her was off, right? Because of her phone, because of this wound, because of the before, this actually serves her solving and healing this moment now, right? Because of her phone, the before Jane, the pre-Jane, the original Jane is confirmed. And this is what happens even when you are actually trying to heal. You're not going to get to the place that you need unless you face that darkness, right? And here she is just facing it all. So you have to use both of those identities, the blue, the yellow, to find the wound, the red wound, to bring you to the truth that sets all of this free, including yourself, right? We learned that this before Jane is actually Katie, who is Ethan's birth mother, and the Russell family has been hiding for her. The details are too close. Everybody's in the same house. Everybody's across the street. The mother and the basement dude was sleeping with each other, and the daddy's across the street, and she went across the street to sleep with both guys, and then the son don't like her, so he stabbed her. It got a little messy for me. I couldn't quite keep up. I'm unsure of a lot of things here. But I don't like when everything happens in one block. I don't know. Why does everything happen in one block radius? is very strange. It's very unrealistic, this part. Elle says the poor cat has to deal with all of this. Why was the cat there? Brian Tyree Henry, oh, fine ass, going off where he had to. Yes, Khaled, her last name ain't really Fox. Khaled says, I wasn't mad at fake ass Captain America dying since this movie wanted to have the Captain. Wanted to have the Captain America dead the whole time. CJ says, what got me is when she tried using their child as a means of manipulation in that previous scene, trying to convince her husband to stick it out and say it's for the child, but really it's for Anna. That part, the darkness, the way it was her fault, the way the death of her family was her fault, the way the death of her marriage was her fault, and all of that avoiding, even into death, all of that avoiding, right? Right off the cliff. The threat is confirmed. Ethan is the killer. I got more to say, but I'm gonna hold it and I'm gonna get y'all takes too. But Anna officially adopts her new skill, right? Anna goes outside. Unlike when she originally tried, she had to use her umbrella because it feels like she's still inside when she's outside. But bursting into the rain, sans umbrella. This has so many metaphoric parallels, right? The rain mirroring how the snowy windfall has transformed into her new life. It also represents her not needing the crutch of this umbrella. She's outside, raw dogging it, right? Fully free. And the stakes are realistically now life or death, right? Forcing her from her old self into her new identity, until we finally reach the climax. Act 2, the big fight. Here it goes. Anna kills Ethan, breaking that sunroof that created that spotlight falling into her home, right? There is no more performances. All truths are revealed. And Anna, coming up that spiral, right? She went from the basement all the way to the roof, climbed her way out of the sickness and depression. Literally, this fight scene was stupid. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. This thing here that she did, this move right here, what was that? And how was this roof so damn weak? It's a 3-4 story home. And she just did a little here and the whole thing caves in.
Well, earlier in the story, I remember the tenant, what's his name, David. He said he mentioned he mentioned it so fast you can miss easily, but he said something about, oh, you got mold. So I guess I assume the audience, after all this long drawn out, everything played out, we're supposed to remember, oh, he did mention a long time ago there's mold, so that's what made it weak, and then she was able to push the boy through, and okay, but
But that's the thing that those are one of those obvious details that that I hated, because like you can tell like the little tiny pieces they put in this is like it's to serve these moments. Like, hey, mold, and he creaks on the roof to show how weak it is. So then when she does this, it's like, I know it's weak and I'll kill him here. Like, and there's a lot of little details in this movie like that. Like it's specifically planted earlier so you can come back and be like, I don't know, it's so stupid. CJ says, I thought the Ethan is the killer reveal wasn't that much of a surprise. It wouldn't. The way his mother's death was shot specifically didn't show who actually stabbed her. It was clean. It was quick. I don't know. I just thought it was ridiculous. Her being stabbed in the face with a rake. Okay, I'll take it. I'll take it. Bringing us into Act 3, the solution to the big conflict we've had this entire time. All conflicts are wrapped up. Miss Anna Fox can now live in the light truthfully, right? She can actually go outside, versus the dark, the secrets, the hidden identities she had to hide while she was trapped inside. We're flipping that contrast around. And Brian Tyree Henry, Detective Little, that ain't his name. Detective Little comes in and just kind of wraps up all of the problems. Yeah, the Russells are in custody, and the man went here, and the woman went there, and she's singing like a bird. You want your phone? Now, wait a minute. See, this is how I know you spent too much time in Act 1 because you didn't have enough budget or story to finish Act 3. We should see the big takedown, right? Mr. Russell was giving this lady hell. I want to see him arrested. I want to see him caught. I want to see the real Jane singing like a bird. I want to see these things wrapped up. Not her in a bed, and you told us what had happened after the son was the killer, and that was the big reveal. Where's the rest of the family? They just kind of threw it away. And this is why structure matters. Because that would have made these people rethink what details were needed and what plot points to hit when. Because then you would have given us so much space here with Act 3, and now we have none. We should see it. Again, cramming the story and this dialogue here, right? Hit Miss Anna Fox with a "we sorry." Now you got to run that bread at this point. You owe me funds. I'm sorry. Do you see my face? It's not really me. I have to take myself out of the movie. I get really personally attached to this. I have to back up. She's white and rich. She'll be okay. Color theory coming full circle. After 9 months of this whole ordeal, she moves out and begins a new life. A lot of numerology here in this film. 9 is the number of completion, also a representative of breaking a cycle, entering a brand new cycle, a la birth, right? She's leaving this red wound in this house, and she's going outside. And we can see her traveling through the home where outside is calling for her independence, right? She's going down the staircase to the front entrance, passing this beautiful blue, and then jumping into this yellow cab because she's not quite alone, right? She saw the healing of this family. And if you can carry them lovingly, they are where you are. They don't have to be in this house, which is maybe why she locked herself in this house. She can be anywhere and her family will be there with her, right? And of course, as we're driving off that very last shot, we see all these beautiful green trees and green and plants and trees and shrubbery representing the color of New Journeys. And that concludes The Woman in the Window. How are we feeling? Final thoughts, friends and fam.
Just she walked away unscathed from all of this. You caused all of this, lady, and nothing happened to you. I was upset.
She lost a friend. She ain't make no more friends. She ain't even get to sleep with David the way Anthony Mackie told her she wanted to sleep with David. The way I would have been downstairs bumping down in the basement. Because look, my husband's already gone, right? And I'm already mad. But she spent all her time getting David mad and making Mr. Russell mad and making Jane mad and making her therapist mad. So I
personally would have talked to the detective, but
if I was a rich white lady with nothing to do with all of my days.
Yeah, he was, pretty much simping for her anyway. So she had a shot. She could have shot her shot right there.
All she had to do was bathe. I swear,
yeah.
David would have been in line. That's all she had to do was take a shower.
But yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, go. I'm sorry.
What I was just saying, yeah, she was totally unscathed in the end for being nosy, which just reminds me of the opposite of what happened in that what was that mini series on Netflix? What was that, Behind Her Eyes or something like that?
Okay, I didn't finish that.
Yeah, that
Behind Her Eyes.
Yeah, she got messed up. So, it made sense because I'm like, you being nosy, you should have let that alone a long time ago. You wouldn't have been in the situation you got in. So, but of course, she, in this story, she's a white woman, so they get away with every damn thing. So whatever.
As usual, come in and be like, "My bad."
And then they get somebody stepping for them.
TJ says, who was her friend though? I was joking. I was saying that that first Jane was her friend. It was the only lady who was nice to her, just spending time playing games, drinking wine, seeing all her medications, and then after got her drunk was like, maybe you shouldn't drink. It's too late. Pour up another one because now it's too late. This why you don't go solving every goddamn thing yourself. You know what, guys? Another incredible time wrapped. I'd be so excited about these new movies. And you know what? Visually, this was really like I loved what the director Joe Wright was doing visually. The writing. And I'm not just saying that just because my pilot was top 9% on cover fly. I'm just saying that if you're gonna do it, then do it. I want to see the full movie. You know what I mean? But I'm so happy to have y'all here as y'all do bi-monthly here on Patreon. Thank y'all so much. I was telling Elle before we went live that I'm going to start testing in June a 12 p.m. the boozy brunch time that we used to do, the 12 p.m. EST. To see how that works. I know people have different time zones, so I'm trying to allow them to wake up in the morning to catch it if they want to catch it live, and give us time to go out and frolic for our summer days that are coming up. So we'll see what happens. Any final thoughts before we sign out?
Yeah, I mean, the movie was okay. Like you said, it could have been better if they didn't have so much dialogue to explain some like really key important scenes that should have been acted out, and they took way too long on the setup, way too long. So that's what kind of took me out. But I was already invested, so I said, I might as well just see it to the end. But yeah, it did fall pretty flat.
They saying in the chat, fake Jane called Anna's home terrible and awful, and they call her home shitty. That's a little white shade, little white lady shade. You know they don't know how to do it. But thank y'all for being here. I thank y'all so much. I will be on tomorrow. I think it's post episode 4 tomorrow.
Are they on 4 or 5? They had 2 in the premiere, then another one.
Episode 4 tomorrow.
Oh, it's 4? It's been 4? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
That 2-hour premiere threw me off.
True.
It's making me think there was more episodes than there were.
And it gave me a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
All right, so I will be on tomorrow YouTube 6 p.m. EST for the Pose dissection, and then blasting off throughout the week. All right, so I hope you guys enjoy yourselves. Goodbye to YouTube. I'll see you tomorrow. They so funny.